Alright guys, today we're going to go over one of the most feared and most hated jobs on these cars, which is the alternator replacement. I'm taking mine out today to remove the headers, so I'll do another video on that as well. But the alternator needs to come out in order to do the headers. So let's get started. Okay, first thing you're going to want to do is disconnect your battery power. Now for most of you guys, it's just remove the negative terminal in the battery. For me, I'll just flip my circuit breaker. Alright, next step is going to be remove the belt. Now for mine, I have a stretch to fit belt from the alternator to the crank because I don't have any other accessories. But for most of you guys, it's just going to be a matter of loosening the tensioner and pulling the belt off. Then you're going to want to take your wheel off. Okay, after you get the wheel off and you have your belt off, we can start taking out the bolts that hold the alternator in place and also disconnecting your electrical connections. With the way my belt is on there, I actually have to loosen up one of the bolts first to release some of the tension on the belt in order to get it off the whole way. Okay, so as you can see, there's the one nut right there for your power wire, and then there's a single gray wire. And then there's also a connector above that for your voltage regulator. All three of those need to come off before we can start taking out the bolts. Alright, so your nut here for your power wire is a 10 millimeter. You grab a ratchet or a wrench and take that off. Okay, now once that's off, we can work on getting our gray wire and our regulator harness disconnected. For the gray wire, I like to use a pick, usually either one that's bent like this or even like a 90-degree or a hook. Now, as you can see, maybe, depending on lighting, there's a tab up here. What you want to do is kind of pry that out. Just a little bit. You don't want to break the tab off. You pry that out and then pull on the wire. I have to put the camera down for that. Okay. There you can see we're disconnected now. And then for our top wire for our harness there, you see that metal piece, that clip. All you have to do is press in on that and then pull the plug out. Just like that. And just push the harness out of the way. Now we're ready to unbolt the alternator. And if you look, there's this little L-shaped bracket with two 10 millimeter bolts. And then there is another bolt here on this bottom side and another matching bolt on the top side. What I like to do first is take out the 10 millimeter bolt that goes to the alternator bracket. I take that one out first. See if we can get a shot of that. Maybe the GoPro will stay there. So yeah, I take that 10 millimeter bolt out first. Okay. Now what I use to get to that is a series of wobble extensions. What you can also use is a 10mm swivel socket. I'll show you what I have over here. So these are my wobble extensions. I have them in 3/8 drive and then also in 1/4 inch. What you could also use, like I said, with a swivel socket, it's pretty easy access with one of these as well. Now these, I mean, this is all snap-on stuff. Nobody has to buy snap-on in order to be able to do this job. You can pick up your extensions and sockets and everything at Harbor Freight and get this job done just as quick. Okay, so the next bolt that I like to tackle on these things is the top one. Now, a lot of people say about using a long set of extensions in order to get to it from the bottom side or even the driver's side wheel well. For me, I like to get it from up top here with just a wrench. Now, as you can see, I don't have a power steering reservoir here. Most of them, they just slide right out, and then you can stick your arm back here. So it's pretty much by feel. What you'll have to do is reach back here with the wrench. Gonna have to find the bolt and fight with the wires just a little bit, but it's not too bad. Once you get it on there, which I think I'm on now, use 2 hands. You reach your other hand back here, and it'll break loose for you. And a lot of times if you leave that bottom bolt tight, you don't loosen up the bottom bolt at all. This top one, once you break it loose, you can get it out with your fingers, which makes life a lot easier, especially if you don't have like a ratcheting wrench. So you can see I just used a regular wrench and I'm twisting it out by hand. And there's that. Well, let's go back underneath. Alright. Now for the bottom bolt. What I find works best is this 10-inch wobble extension along with a deep socket and just a 3/8 drive ratchet. And if you look here, you go on the far side of the manifold and Y-pipe and reach straight across. You can see right there now I'm on that bolt. And it gives me plenty of room here to get some leverage on this and get it out. There's a bolt. It is now at this point in time in which I'll remove my belt. It's good to see now the alternator will move. And get a little extra slack on there. I can get my tool in here and crank it right off. There we go. Alright, so now as you can see the alternator is nice and loose. But how do you get it out? So I've seen people say remove the axle, remove the Y-pipe, remove the axle and the Y-pipe. And quite honestly, that's just way too much work. I mean, you got to remove the axle nut and the ball joint bolt and drop your ball joint out. Messing with rusted up exhaust bolts. The easiest thing I have found is to remove this outer tie rod from the knuckle assembly. So you just take out this nut and pop the assembly out here, and the whole alternator will just pretty much fall right out. Let me show you. So once you get that nut off of there, you're going to find that your tie rod end here is going to be stuck in your knuckle. A little trick is to hit right here with a hammer. It'll pop it loose. Also, you want to make sure you never hit here on the threads, like driving upwards like that. You'll end up mushrooming out the end here, mess up the threads, and you'll be putting a new tie rod end on. All right, now with that out of the way, grab your alternator. It's a little bit of a tight fit still. She'll slide right out of here. Don't make a liar out of me. There we go. Also, with how I had the wheel turn like this, straighten it back out. Boot back in. Of course, now with that inner tie rod boot back in, be able to pull this thing right out. So that there is how you get your alternator out. Like I said, it's not that bad. Everybody makes it out to be a really big deal, but it's not that hateful of a job. But that's all I got for you today. Like I said, the headers are getting sent out to get coated. So I gotta tow the car home. If you wanna see an additional video of me putting everything back together on the car, let me know. I'd most likely be more than willing to make another video on putting the headers back in and putting the alternator back in. For you guys watching this video trying to learn how to do just the alternator, pretty much the same procedure to go back together, reverse of what it was to take it out, so it shouldn't be too difficult. The only thing I would note is on the alternator, hold on, let me dig out my bracket here. On the alternator bracket, there are these slides here. When you tighten the bolt, it'll press in and hold the alternator a little bit tighter. What you'll want to do is take like a screwdriver or pry bar and push against that and pry it outward. If it doesn't pry, use a hammer and just tap it in. But that's all you have to do. You set the alternator up in place, throw your bolts in, hook up all your connections, put your tie rod end back on, and you're good to go. So, like I said, if you like the video, make sure leave a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe. Hopefully I'll have some more videos up of any kind of work that I do to the car here over the winter. I have a couple of projects planned, so I may take some time to record it and show you guys what all's going on with the car. And these brakes are bad. So, yeah, like I said, leave a thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks. One more really stupid thing. You guys want to know what a contour sounds like. Open heads, right? Usually we hear open header videos, but how about with no headers, just right out of the head? Just give it a shot.